as important. We're fortunate to have Bivas Nag with us today, and he'll be sharing his insights on how to build a professional identity, how to increase visibility, and how to approach networking through relationship building and meaningful conversations. Thank you once again, Bivas, for being here, and we're looking forward to the conversation. If anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to ask through the chat. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Bivas.
Okay, Shanidi, do you want to go ahead with the presentation first and then?
Yeah, sure. Let me just quick overview about Progoti. Firstly, thanks Bibash for joining us as a speaker today. And this is just a quick overview about what Progoti is. So Progoti is an organization which we have so we have started off, and this is originally have been started off from San Francisco Bay Area, but we are pretty open to having people from all across the world. And also it's mainly like, trying to connect members across diverse fields, as well as celebrating heritage and all. So feel free to join us. We have had a lot of good sessions. There are two more virtual sessions we will be having in this series, and once you have registered for this one, you are easily able to access the other Zoom links as well. So please feel free to join. And if anytime you feel like, you want some particular topics which you think would be of interest, feel free to, ping us with the ideas, and we are happy to see that if we can incorporate it in future sessions. And join us. We are at Slack, LinkedIn, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So feel free to DM us if you want to have the link. And now I will head over to Biba so he can, go ahead with the presentation.
Hello, hello all. Thank you so much, Mohini, for the introduction and Shinidi for the invitation and the Pragati for the invitation. Since we are also like, uh, I would really want to make this conversation or whatever I'm trying to share, you know, feel free to ask and converse and talk about your questions, and we can easily tackle that. Um, I'll just share my screen. Um, okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you so much
So
again.
there is a continue to share option coming. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much again for like joining the session, and thank you so much, Progoti team, for inviting me and like giving me this platform to talk about a topic that is very new to me. But throughout this entire presentation, what I'm trying to share with you guys is how to build a network and being seen. I'm not going to talk about that, how you can approach people or approach, you know, in social context, because we all are aware of it, and we come from different background. But throughout this presentation, what I want to the take home message would be like, you want to network, but you don't want to become loud. You want to become useful. You want to become organically visible, and also keep your being human vibe alive. And throughout this entire presentation as well, I'm going to give reference from my life. And me being a PhD student at UCSF, currently studying human brain development and evolution. But don't restrict this talk to only PhD. You can take this same concept and look into in your field. If you're working in a startup, if you're working as an artist, if you're working in a corporate, this entire thing that has been built can be replicated through different disciplinary uh, job titles that you have. So without further delay, I'll just start. So this is me, where I come from, Kolkata, in a very lower middle class family, and I moved to Dadri, which is a part in Uttar Pradesh, where I did most of my schooling, and moved to Mumbai for my bachelor's, and then moved to Munich for my master's. From there, I came to Yale, and then finally, currently doing my PhD at UCSF. But one of the problems that I always faced throughout this entire journey was like every time, wherever I go, I had to reintroduce myself. like people, I used to, tell people about, okay, this is what I'm working. I'm a PhD student. I'm so and so. But as soon as I left the place, either people forgot about me, or either people was like, okay, can you reintroduce yourself? So this is the recurring problem that I faced. Uh, in the next slide, what I'm trying to show you, I'll show you a picture, and I'll keep the picture for 5 seconds. Um, I want you to put on chat whatever that is, that you can see, like any person from that picture, if you can remember by any of the characteristics. So feel free to put that on the chat. So this is the picture. I'll keep it for 5 seconds. Can you guys remember anything that you see from this picture? You can put it on the chat, anyone. Lots of people working. Yellow helmet. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, so the point was, from this picture, what I want to see that we are all in this scenario. We are all in this context of like life, whether you are a PhD, whether you're a corporate student, a corporate employee, whether you're an artist. We are all, there's so many people around us, right? And we want to be like, at least distinguishable from the entire crowd. And in when I was in my high school, I saw this movie called PK, which is a Amir Khan movie where he used to wear this yellow helmet so that people can easily spot you. So in life also we try to become this guy where people can spot us and offer us a position in the network, offer us or refer us to people for the job or something. But most of the time, getting into this guy or being this guy is really tough because we are so busy, focused in our own work, especially if you are moving out of the country, if you're doing a corporate 9 to 5 job, if you're an artist, that we go into this continuous loop of invisibility. And that is common that every one of us goes through it. And I was into a much more loop of invisibility because I chose to do PhD. So academia is itself an invisible place where people don't remember you. And I was like, okay, my identity couldn't be just like I'm a PhD student. That's so boring. But my first attempt was, okay, if I'm a PhD student, I want to do the best PhD in the world. So I was like, okay, let's try to do that. And I tried. This is what I made from my, like while I was doing PhD. So I tracked my mood across first 89 weeks, and I saw that I was terribly failing being a best PhD student. It has those uh, like ups, like downs and ups, like just like any other journey. So life is a up and down journey. So my initial goal of being the best PhD student failed. I will be a PhD student, but that couldn't be just my identity. So I thought that what could be else my identity? So this is me trying to figure out what is my identity. And first thing that comes up to mind, okay, I'm doing PhD, so that could be my identity. I work on brain development. But that's boring, right? There are so many people again working on brain development. What could be my other identity? So my other identity could be, okay, I help student and organize community. I writes about science and being human, and I'm interested in startup and industry. But if I send my CV to someone which has like PhD as my first degree, the person will easily forget me. There are so many PhD students. And one of the recurring thing I've been learning from a lot of this networking events I go across Bay Area and across my whole journey, one of the person told me that if the person cannot summarize you, they cannot refer you. And that's what we are looking for, right? We are looking for opportunities, we are looking for connections, we are looking for networking. And to network, we need people, and people need to remember you. So if you give a CV, they receive 10 tons of CV, they will not remember you. You need to give them pointers. So for me, I chose this 4 pointers about myself. So again, coming back to the point that if people cannot summarize you, they cannot refer you. Okay, I talked about building identity. There's so many big words that I want to create, but I cannot force it. I cannot do at the last moment when I need a job and say that, these are my identity. So identity cannot be forced. It can be built one step at a time. So one may ask, like, how can we start building an identity? One simple way. Let's start with what I know the most. I work on brain development. That's my PhD topic. So let's start with that. For you, it could be like you work in a corporate. For the people, it could be like, you're an artist working on this. So this is my first identity, how I can talk about. Of course, my pedigree talks about that, I have a good academic background, but can I also make people know about my work? And nowadays, it's very easy to talk, to make a website or to write a blog on Substack and make yourself visible in the field of what you're working. The other challenge that a lot of us face is like we work on very niche topics, and that might not be like accessible to people around us, or people might not be aware of exact technicalities of the project or technicalities of the product you're making if you're a CEO. So you want to break it down. If I talk about brain development, okay, brain development sounds very nerdy. How can I make it more interesting? So I gave a thought about myself that, okay, I study brain development, but what is the bigger picture question that you want to convey and that make you interesting in a group of people? So I came so I came out with this that I study what makes human a human, because I study brain development, I study how human brain is different, but that is very boring. I want to sound a little interesting in the crowd that makes people know, okay, this person studies something interesting. Let's go and talk with this person. So I normally introduce myself that I study what makes human a human. That makes people look interesting and talk about it. So this is a easy way of building identity, that you first focus on what you're best about it. Then one of the second identity that I wanted to make about myself is like I want to help student and go into build communities. But how can we build a community without a thought? So I was like going across that, okay, what I can work on. I realized that when I moved through different parts of my life throughout the education, I was learning a lot of things. I was taking notes about a lot of the things I learned. And I initially started off this something called career community, where I just share my uh, what are the academic learnings that I had so far navigating through different countries. And it started with 50 people initially in my first year. Now I have almost 8.5 thousand people over there with seven plus countries reaching and 100 success stories. So the one thing I'm trying to push out here is like if you have a thought, it could be very basic about just sharing about your journey, and you can start with that. And you never know that how long it can grow and how big it can grow. You just need to be consistent. Also, along with this, I kept my identity, like, tried to build my identity throughout where the places I were in. I was involved in a couple of science advocacy, science mentorship plays, because always wanted to speak for students back in India. And whenever I came back to UCSF, I was also into the student representative, talking about organizing community, speaking about the voices of students, and working for the students. So I tried to balance my identity throughout my career. It's not just like one identity I just started after I reached someplace. You need to build, even if it is very, very small. Then another part of the identity is like you need to make yourself visible. Um, in social media, it's very important. For the people who are struggling, it's very important that you need to make yourself visible. One of the way of making yourself visible and making this being this guy, that you need to share your thoughts. No one is going to read your brain unless and until you share your thoughts. And one of the common trend that I found out in many of the social media posts is I felt like people only use the social media to either celebrate or to either talk about, oh, the failures. They don't talk about the process. And that's what I made my niche of. So what I talk about is I talk about the vulnerabilities of being in academia. the gray zone of being in academia, the gray zone about being human, and that became my niche. Social media is a free platform. You can use whatever you want for, but if you keep your content real in this era of ChatGPT and LLM, people will follow you. I've been doing this for 5 years, and obviously there will be people who will be using clickbait to work it, but you will build a community around you if you are genuine and vulnerable to people, and if you try to be vulnerable, and you will make genuine connections. And that's one of the way that you can make yourself visible. Another way of making yourself visible is I'm interested in startup and industry, but I am an immigrant. I don't have a lot of connections. I'm new to Bay Area. None of my family people live here in Bay Area. So how can I make it possible? I can build it for myself, right? So you can build it for yourself. So I started off something called a bio incubation hub in UCSF in my home university. The idea is again making the community, making the bridging the gap of what I do to what I'm interested. And this also made me like meet with interesting people. So couple of interesting people I meet every time we host a event. And we also try to use I also try to use my network to build something for me as well. So I started this podcast, and if you're in Bay Area, if you're working somewhere, you will have tons of opportunity to take the leadership, to make the way for yourself, to build it for yourself. So I started making opportunities for myself where I interact with these people, make connections. And when I go back to them, I can just say, oh, I hosted you for this event. Do you remember me? And that's a good icebreaker for yourself. So don't wait for opportunities, make opportunities for yourself. Now, once I built my identity, I also want to, sustain my identity. One of the way of sustaining identity is in academia, it could be like ask question, in corporate, it could be like talk with people, follow up. You just need to follow up with for a coffee chat. People are very open for coffee chats in Bay Area. Share your journey. It doesn't need to be stars, it doesn't need to be absolute failures. Share your journey, your daily life. That what people are interested about. Organize spaces, host events, mentor students, because you also want to give back to the society. And reach out to people like in the if you're interested in building something, or in a phase of building a startup, reach out to people in startups, reach out to people in who are building actually. And these all made my interest easier to remember. And you never know at the end of the day which of your identity opens up the doors for the networking. But during this entire process of building everything, I always got this critique that, I am a PhD student and that should be my identity. And for you, it could be you are a corporate, that should be your identity. You are a CEO, that should be your identity. Yes, that is my identity. But I want to build an extended identity around my PhD. I do writing, I do community building, I do mentoring. So it's not an identity away, it's identity around. And why we talk about identity and why it is important. Because imagine when someone thinks of an opportunity, what makes them think of you? Think about what is the center of a professional identity. Okay, PhD student, corporate worker, artist, singer, CEO, what else? What are the doors you have created around you? And have you given people enough evidence that to remember and refer you? And this might sound like, this is very difficult to do it, but we as a human have done this before. And I always try to bring this concept of evolution back, that we were curious enough, we were contextual enough, we were, since we are contextual enough, we were able to contribute enough. And since we were able to contribute enough, we were able to create community and trust enough. And that's what make us human, right? So yeah, so it's not very trivial, we all can do it, but let's do it very organically, build our identity and then build our network. So I at the end I just want to thanks Shiny for the opportunity, and Mohani for coordinating and giving me feedbacks. And thank you for the Progoti team for hosting me. And thank you for listening.
So yeah, I would like to add like Richa as well, Richa and Moy. I think Richa was the first person like you had suggested that we should definitely bring you here. And thanks for the great talk. This was really cool. So you guys have any questions like before we go to a question from Mohini in the chat? Any questions or any thoughts or any comments?
Yeah, feel free to put it in the chat or to unmute yourself
Yeah.
to ask.
I understand a lot of
Um,
people are from India, so it's little late night, but yes. Okay. Okay, let's go with
so,
yeah, go ahead, Shailen.
hi, I'm Sailaja. Thank you so much for hosting this. It's really helpful. And thank you, Vivas, for helping us and guiding us as well in our journey. I just wanted to ask a question regarding oftentimes when I'm trying to connect to any of the people in the field. Well, I have a neuroscience background and I'm trying to ask people, or I'm emailing them. Even um, I don't really get replies, and I understand that most of them are busy, but is do you have any suggestions as to how to make yourself visible at that point so that you can at least get a meeting, or like just um, have a possibility to converse and have a platform to actually you know tell them what you are.
Yeah,
Do
so
you have it? Yeah,
yeah.
thank
So I
you.
think yeah, so thank you for the question. I think that's very relevant for like the academic settings, and that's why I always say that, um, build your network and build your identity starting early. But one way of navigating that problem is, yes, sometimes they are busy, and sometimes if you're like not in the same country, it's also difficult. So maybe one way of reaching out is, look into people in the particular, like the people working in the same space, like if there are other people who are working in the same environment, if there are other people who are working in the same lab, if you can get them talk about your things, like you can, if you can get the meeting with them first rather than getting meeting directly with the professor. So that could be one way. But again, for all of these factors, it's always better to start early so that you have an early edge over everything.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so then we have a question from Moini. Moini, do you want to say it?
Yes. So essentially, one of the biggest fears, at least in this area, is on putting oneself out there. So that prevents us from networking most of the time. So, how can one build confidence and visibility when they have this existing fear?
So I think there could be two way of thinking of that. I would say first, you don't want to be vulnerable at first, right? You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're saying something which is vulnerable to you. So start with something you're confident about. And that's how I started. I started talking about what I'm confident about. I started talking about my science that is factual and that has nothing to do personalized with me. So start with that. You could, so someone working in corporate, it could be how they have mastered the art of something they're coding about or something, anything. So that could be first round of visibility. And once you start doing that, you get into the habit of making or posting about your work, and you can slowly integrate some part that you're comfortable enough to share. So I think if you think of starting it at the first with something that you are scared to share about people, share about yourself to the people, you're not going to do it. So start with very like concept which you are confident about, and then build upon that.
Is any other points here? Like anybody in the today's room would like to share their experience or perspective? Okay. So maybe yeah, I agree with you. Like and I totally get Mohini's point also, because I personally am an introvert. So I generally prefer to be at my spaces and not talk much. But yes, I think it takes practice. I would say definitely starting with science for you, it has been a strong point. For others, I mean, also I would say don't be to everybody. I will just suggest here from my experience. Sometimes I've beaten myself up thinking, oh, I'm not able to do, I'm not able to be as social as somebody else. But we all are coming from have our different backgrounds and different strengths. So it's okay. Try to push your boundaries or walls, but it is fine if it is taking time or you're not able to. You have other strengths which you can focus on and build over. So that's my thought here. And Bivash did a really great presentation, loved it, especially the graphics and everything. I had a question for you, and that's a little personal, but I was just thinking, like, what made you realize that you need to build an identity for, like, separate identity? Because that's not very, like, not everybody thinks in that aspect, right? Like, and there will be some people who may have a thought process that, oh, because if you're being different from, like, the crowd, as you showed that yellow helmet person, sometimes people may have other opinions, or they may be like, oh, why are you wearing that yellow helmet? So how are you navigating that aspect, or if you have any thoughts on that?
That's a very good question, and I think it brings back to my childhood fear. So my childhood fear was, since I come from a very lower middle class family, I had always this fear that I don't want to be a middle class. It's not bad, but I don't want to be the person that people forget easily. And I think, and that has been a thing throughout my academic journey as well. Like even in my high school, I was like, okay, my identity couldn't be just a class 12 student with so many grades. People not going to remember me, right? People will only remember me if it's not like I'm doing something for people. It's like I want to be having other things where people are not doing. So I think that's one of the reason. And when I moved abroad and when I moved uh Europe and when I came to US, I also realized that everyone has a different starting point. So I can't compete with everyone because everyone starts from a different starting point. A person who is in US or person who is in Europe, they will have always a head start for you, head start as compared to you. So what I can do is like, can I add? So imagine like a tree. A tree, there is a forest, there is a tree. A tree can only be looked upon if you add fruits, flowers in the tree that will be looking like like looking good. You might have a low growth rate, but once you grow, people will be able to notice you. And I think that's, for me, it's very important and it helped me to thrive in places where I don't have connections, in places where the room might have felt very uncomfortable for me because people talks about cool stuffs about you're working in the AI. So everyone here talks about AI, and I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about AI, but I try to learn because that makes me like when I introduce myself, okay, this is my identity. People come and talk with me, even if they're working in like big companies or big stuff. So I think that is, and part of the identity is also because I want to learn. There's so much to learn, and you will only learn when you talk with people, and you will get to talk with people if you are an interesting person in that room. So it's like I think that's the entire point of building an identity in the space and in the area.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your point about learning, like being curious. I think that's really helpful to, to grow your horizons. And yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing your thoughts. So there are a few more questions. Maybe Ankit and Ketki, you can ask your questions. And okay, sorry, did I miss Prachi's question? So Prachi, maybe you can, ask your question.
It's Hi Bivas, great presentation. I wanted to ask that I think you and I at least, I know, and I think a few others here as well, are in an academic setting. And a lot of times we are asked to introduce ourselves. When this question comes to me, I really am in a fix. I just don't know what to say. Had you been where I am in terms of this question, what would your response be?
Yes, I think I have been like that, like whenever I used to introduce myself in academic setup, as I said, as I started my presentation by saying that I don't want to be just PhD student. It's such a boring term. Like, people have very negative thoughts about academia, like they don't pay you well, it's so underrated, and everyone is in industry.
No,
And when
Bivas,
you
don't demotivate people from joining.
No, I'm not, but people actually don't like, yeah, if you're talking with academic people, they will celebrate you, but if you're talking with people in like other contexts, they're like, oh, you're still studying. I'm like, no, I'm not studying, it's a PhD degree. So it's very difficult for me to at least explain them that it's not a studying thing, it's a work. So I have been in that spaces where I was like, okay, being a PhD student can't be just my identity. And I think that's what I was like, okay, what could be my identity apart from, and also not going away from what I'm doing. So then you need to find your niche, like what you think, what are your values, and connect those values and build something from it. And that's why this community stems from it, because I was like always in the fact that this process is tough, and when you're a first grad, first immigrant, it's very tough to navigate those process. So my initial thing was, okay, what I can do at most is like, even if I can teach 5 people about how my journey was, and if I can help those 5 people to build their journey, I'm doing a good thing. So that's how it started of building the community. So I was like, okay, first start with very comfortable things. I can talk about my journey and build a community, and then I can say, okay, this is what I'm trying to talk about more. So I think, don't think of it as like when you're in academia, you want to create a separate journey, separate identity. It doesn't work like that. You have to stick to your academic identity, but then you also need to think, okay, these are my values, and how can I connect my values to become my identity? I think that will help, and that has helped me.
Okay. Thanks, Vibhash.
That's
Sorry, Prachi.
no, I just like that answer just really made me think. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Okay. Next question from Ankit.
Hi, Vivash. Thank you for the great presentation. It was really engaging.
Hmm.
And I think you mentioned a lot about community building and sharing your work. I really like your perspective about how you kind of find a way that, like, what kind of perspective you want to share on social media, which is kind of a process based.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you that because the communities that people build and how we try to like because everything have their own niche also,
Yeah.
like so if you are engaged in so many activities, then at what point it become because like even organizing this kind of a talk is also lot of work.
Yeah.
And that is why what I wanted to ask you that how do you manage your time while keeping the community and the discussion alive? Because you are also partially responsible if you are starting a community.
Yeah, so when I started, especially I can talk about the career community. When I started with 10 people. And the idea was never to create a community. The idea was like, if I can help these 10 people, and that I can, work around with them for considerable amount of time. And people started joining in. I think, and community is also like, like currently now it's like some huge people. I have a team back in India who manages everything, and these are all like-minded people who just got some benefits from the community. And like, they said that, we are going to like host this, we are going to take into consideration like these other things. So I think don't start anything with with the view that you want to build a community. Give that time the space. Everyone was building a fast-paced community around me, and I stuck to those 10, 12 people for my first year. It became 20, 25, and then these are the people who, who reached success in their life or who are at a position in their life. They started, okay, now we will help you to build the extended one, and they started all this. So at this point when I'm standing here, like, I just do the minimal work of like coordinating people. Rest are done by the team. Rest are done by all the community members who comes together. And another thing I felt like building this community helped me is like I started with a vision. My vision was I want to make uh, resources or journeys available for people who can't afford big things, who can't afford big money, because that's my background and that's how I come from. And I stuck to that till now. And I am going to stuck to that till now because that is what I did that. And a lot of problem comes with the community. What I've seen is they swipe their identity, based on the, okay, I have this collaboration coming in, so I'll like change my identity around and I'll make something of my own. I think if you stick to your identity, people will follow you and people will organically join. And I think then you don't need to invest that much time on your community building process. You just need to coordinate.
So, Shagan, it was very interesting. And what is like which community are you involved very actively, like in Bay Area?
In Bay Area?
Yeah, like after you join UCSF.
Yeah, so in Bay Area, so basically I I so when I was in my undergrad, I started this UG STEM peers, which was not a part of STEM peers. So UG STEM peers was like a small initiation from uh, like my undergrad school where we wanted to talk about more about science communication and make science very malleable for other people to understand. So that started with that, and I was one of the founding members in that community. And slowly that we got acquired by the STEM peers, which is like a worldwide community of people. They are also in India, Europe, and I stayed with them. When I moved to Europe, I was with them. When I am in Bay Area, I was with them. So that gave me the opportunity like to talk about. This is one of the communities I'm active about. And also like my own career community that started back in India. Everything goes in India, and I think most of my time goes over there. So these are the two communities I'm pretty active about.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also think, I mean, yeah, I came to know you through STEM peers only, and I think STEM peers have been like it has been good for networking and all.
Yeah.
And I think Progoti is also going to, we are going to, but our direction is little different,
Yeah.
definitely from the STEM peers, how, but we are also, here trying to make a vibrant community for people. So yeah, so the next question is from Ketaki.
Hi, Bivas.
Hello.
Thank you for the interesting presentation. Um, I feel like a lot of us, especially when we are doing well, still have this voice in the back of our head telling us we don't fully deserve it. So I wanted to ask, how do you personally tell the difference between healthy humility, like staying grounded, versus self-doubt that's actually holding you back?
Okay, that's a very good question. I feel like, okay, this is might be a strong take, but I don't feel like there's something called healthy humility. There is always self-doubt, and that is there in every person. And sometimes, and that is there in every person. When I say, for example, I met this guy in Bay Area who is building a startup on biotech, and he's like, I failed my couple of rounds of funding, and I don't feel bad about it. And I asked him, like, why don't you feel bad about it? He was like, there's so many people around me who are also failing. So I feel like how you process your imposter syndrome depends on the society or the community around you. For example, in a startup community, it's a culture that everyone also share their failures. So when you hear about all people sharing their failures, you don't feel like this is the thing only happening with me. You're like, okay, this all person also goes with that. They are also having this phase where everything is going well, but they're still feeling low. But for a lot of the other places, especially for academia where I work on, people don't share a lot about the process. They're like, okay, I published a paper, but I want to know what goes through the day when your PI said that you are a failure, like what goes through your head during that process of publishing a paper. Or, there's not more examples to think that this is not only happening with me. So you always feel like, okay, this is new to me. Why I'm feeling low? Everything is going good. Why I'm feeling low? Because you don't know. Might be other people are also feeling the same, but they're not sharing it. And when we talk about community, community is all about sharing and caring, and we miss that. So I think everyone has this person of self-doubt. I was reading this book from I read a lot of psychology book, and there's a very good quote by Sigmund Freud. Talks about psychopathology of everyday life. He said like a person without self-doubt is a machine. Even the top person has self-doubt in them, and they just don't speak. So I feel like there's nothing called healthy immunity. And it's okay to have self-doubt, because if you don't have self-doubt, then you will not question yourself. If you don't question yourself, you won't grow. So it's okay to have self-doubt.
That was a really insightful answer. Thank you for answering my question.
Okay, next is from Mohini.
Yeah, so we heard that all your experiences in different areas and how you used your experiences to help you build your identity. So, is there like any misconceptions that you found along the way that a lot of people tend to have when initially starting this journey?
Yeah, I feel like the common misconception is like, people come with this idea, and also I came with this idea that if I'm new to the room, if I don't have a lot of connections, or if I don't have a lot of backing, people will not talk to me, or people will not ignore me. Or if I'm in academia, people from industry will not talk about me. And that initial shell of that I created for myself, that, I'm not good enough, or, people are not interested in me. It's like a common misconception about networking that stops a lot of us people to even go out and talk with people. I was in a when I joined UCSF, I was so much in a, like, shell that, this is such a high paced, I can't do anything, because maybe I'm not interesting. So that is one of the misconception. And another misconception is, like, as I talked over the, like, in the starting of my presentation as well, a lot of networking event where I go, I feel like it's very forced, it's not organic. People try to force themselves in, you know okay, can you refer me to this position? Why the person will refer you if the person doesn't know you from the starting? Or even if the person refers you out of courtesy, that reference will be like very, very, like, bland. It will not have anything. So people love to force network and thinks that it works, but it doesn't work in every scenarios. You need to build network over time. And there's a common saying in Bay Area networking is like, if it's a LinkedIn connection, it's not a network. If you need to have the numbers of the people in your phone to become a network, or to make the person in your network. So when I say I'm networking, is that level that I have the number of those persons in my phone, and I chat with them regular on a regular basis. So yeah.
Well, then I definitely need to ask you how you manage your time. Because it's hard, I would say. So how do you
Yeah.
manage your time if you know you're conversing regularly?
It's not like regularly. It's like, if I write something about their work, I just send them,
Okay, got it.
and I talk about them, and they're like, okay. And they are also busy people. They're also not gonna, reply every time. So they're
Mhm.
also like, but they read. At least that's what I've seen. Like, if you're curious enough about their work, if you're curious enough to keep on the conversation, and if it is not forced enough, they will reply. So they will reply and they will say, okay, this is my views. What do you think? And it's obviously good to get a coffee chat in every 3 months or every 6 months. It's a free coffee chat. They're happy to talk. They're good people. So yeah,
Okay, cool. Okay, so next question is from Shweta.
I think Shinedy, you should take this question.
Okay. Hello. You talk about the shortcomings and failures of academia and in general, and how are the ways to work around it? Okay, so you are taking it, or you want me to take it?
No, I think you are experienced enough, like to talk
Okay.
about this more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I personally, for my experience, I would say it's not like just academia or anything. It can be anywhere. It's, after all, you are handling people. So I would say is that yes, with academia, sometimes it's like, if you are, so Shweta, which level are you? Like, what's your, what are you doing right now?
I have completed my MSc and I worked for 3.5 years as a research assistant, and I'm currently applying for PhD in US.
Okay, makes sense. So yeah, so that's why I ask you, because there's a little difference here. So, in academia or in a lot of places, like if you're going for a commitment which will take a while, like for instance, if you're going for a PhD, you need to have a 4 to 5 years of commitment, and you need to work in a team which is compatible to you so that you can survive this, right? Because if you have to drop midway, it's kind of like all your 2 3 years of hard work is gone, and that can be literally crushing. So I would say it's different steps. So like in academia, if for particular, like for instance, if you are going for academic positions like professor positions, or PhD, those are kind of positions, these are long term positions. It's like a marriage, so you need to make it work. That's what somebody told me when I was, after my but somebody told me it's like a marriage. Like if you don't have a good partner, it may terribly fail. So that's what it is. Like you need to find a good place, a place where your professional marriage can stick. The other thing is that once you're done with your PhD, or you're in your postdocs or other positions, after that I think those like the damage is little lesser. I would say, like, you can, if you see that some place is not a great fit, you can still think about moving and doing some other things. And today, nowadays, R&D, like a lot of them is opening up in industries as well. So you can definitely make a move from academia to industry. And I would say another point is that wherever people are involved, there are going to be different. It's not like that academicians are the only way. Even if you go for industry or any other place, people, like as Vivash mentioned about the network and building, that matters also. Things like, there will be different sort of people and compatibilities and right fit. So all those things, I would say, will come up. And the best is like to have being, like figuring out that how, what things you can tackle and what things you think are non-negotiable to tackle, and guide your journey, and have some close confidence whom you can discuss while navigating journey through academia, because that helps you to get a lot of perspective. And if you can get a mentor who is supportive, that's a great boon.
Yeah, thank you. That helps.
Yeah. Okay. So Mohini has one question, but I would actually like to know about the people joining us today. So maybe you guys can give a quick intro about you, because we had a lot of questions, but I would love to know, about you, and we would love to be in touch later as well.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Hi, Lavish.
So, I'm Labhish, currently pursuing my master's in bioinformatics.
Mhm.
So, Bivas and I had a chat earlier, like a month or two ago. So, he should remember me actually.
Nice.
So, as I'm in this community of him, so I joined from that links. Let me know
Great.
here.
So where are you right now?
So I'm based out of Pune, currently pursuing my master's in bioinformatics.
In Pune University.
Yeah,
Oh, great. They have a really nice bioinformatics center.
yeah.
That's
But
great.
I had a kind of personal questions if Bivas can take it.
Yes.
So I'm an kind of an extreme end of introvert, but then how to share your thoughts like in I'm just starting my MSc degree, MSc thesis like on building MCPs for genomics and proteomics and things. So Shana, you may understand what I'm talking about. So being on the frontier end, so how could I share that people don't understand what is MCP and what is this looping thing in AI, which is beyond prompting. So how can the people who don't have like even the basic knowledge of AI under when I'm saying like this is this, so people will understand in a very easy way, just like a layman would get it. So that was my question. It's a bit personal, but still.
No, 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 no. This is a great question, and I think this is applicable to everybody. So, Bibash, are you back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I think you can start with just like what I started with is like trying to explain the science to my parents. So you can start with that.
I
Like,
mean, and also I would like to add. So these days, I'm seeing these new social media reels, which are like talk about AI concepts in caveman language. I
yeah,
mean, I would not definitely say that talk in caveman language, but it actually helps to understand because, for instance, there is a lot of complex topics like related to transformers and all. They under. It's very easy to get it when you're talking in caveman language, and So I would say, and ChatGPT sometimes helps to you can I have done it several times depending on my audience or people, like tweaking the text, like, okay, I want to explain it to somebody who is not from my field, from other field, but I want to put it in simpler way. So how to do it? So ChatGPT helps to reframe, and then you can go ahead with that as well.
also a good practice is there is a YouTube channel called Wired, WIRED.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they bring experts from different fields and they tell them to explain the concept in 5 different levels. So they start with explaining the concept to a 5 years old, to a 10 years old, to a high school student, to a college student, and to a person in the field. So, and they, I think, 10 years, 10 years or 11 years back, they started this playlist. So if you want to practice some of those, you can also like look into those. It's called Wired, WIRED, and they
Yeah,
bring
yeah, I've
people
seen the
from,
videos.
yeah, they bring people from like different fields like quantum physics. Even like I think one of the people was also the CEO of OpenAI. So like they build people, bring people like that, and that's a good practice to like do.
Yeah, now one more thing. So, uh, I'm afraid of posting things on LinkedIn and social media. So, how should I get over the anxiety of it? Because I'm like introverts and things kind of. Because I'm shy. Like, how should I? mean, the fear
Yeah.
of judgment is kind of thing that.
Yeah, you don't need to post about yourself first, right? You can post about what you work. So the concept that you're working, you can talk about that concept first. Then you're only talking about science, right?
Yeah,
Once you get comfortable in that, then you start posting smaller bits about yourself. But first talk about science because that's what we are confident about, right? Coming from any background. So if you're working in science, if you're building something, if you're in corporate, easiest part to like stay in your confident field is talk about what you're working, because then you can just say, okay, if someone even disagrees with you, they have you can put them resources. Okay, this is what I'm referring for. So start with that.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe so, Richa, do you want to pitch in? I mean, thanks, Richa, for organizing. Richa, are you here?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So I mean, so Richa is one of our Progoti team leaders, and like she had been very instrumental in initially starting off this whole thing. So would love to have you, you know, ask maybe some question or close the session because we are almost on the, you know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, thanks, Vivas. This was a great, presentation, and I think um, I was very excited by lots of the insightful questions we got today. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you I guess something that I think about as well is, especially on social media and things like that, right? How do you deal with maybe, some people have positive reactions to what you do, but maybe others don't. And, sometimes I've seen, um, some recommendations that maybe it's you just make a new account for yourself and you start posting there, and then like the real niche people who are actually interested in your content will follow you and things like that. So I mean, have you ever dealt with a situation like this, and how do you usually break through that wall?
I think I mostly posted on LinkedIn, and recently I've shifted a bit on Instagram. I think LinkedIn crowd is little more like, I think, well groomed, I would say, in terms of how to you.
Okay,
They will
good
like,
point.
yeah, they
Yes.
will like critique you. They will critique you. There will be always people who will like
Hmm.
disagree with your points, and that's fine. That's like okay. But they're,
Hmm.
I would say, a little more respectful as compared to the Instagram crowd.
Yeah,
So yeah,
got
I
you.
feel like if you're putting out yourself on that social media, and as I said, like it doesn't happen one day, it happens with like time. I think by the time you shift to your, like, that's why I started initially on LinkedIn, because I was like, I want to be in a more
Mhm.
respectful crowd rather than in Instagram. So I think at this point, if someone says bad about me on Instagram on my post, I'm like, I'm kindly tuned to it. So I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
like, there are other good comments which I can, like, or interaction which I can, like, look for. So I think it's all about building confidence, and you know start with a kinder platform would be
Yeah,
my thing.
that's a good
So like,
point.
yeah, start with like Substack blogs or something if you're like, those are like more kinder platform, and
Hmm.
then go with Instagram, because also in terms of like how social media works, because Instagram, if you're posting reels, time span is only 30 minutes, 30 seconds, right? And people swipe up. So you need to, if your content is not that 30 seconds or 1 minute, people will swipe up, and it takes a
Don't
lot
listen.
of more
Yeah.
efforts, more efforts in Instagram rather than on LinkedIn. I'm kind
Hmm.
of a lazy person, so I'm like sticking more to LinkedIn rather than Instagram. But yeah.
Got you. Yeah, no, that's a good insight. I think maybe like also the platform that you choose can have a different audience and different vibe of how, people choose to respond. So that's a really good, thing to think about when I'm thinking about content. But thank you so much. I think, yeah, as Shiny said, if there's more questions, what we will do is, we will definitely send out a survey, and we'll also include, our link to our Slack channel. And a bunch of you are probably already on our WhatsApp community. So if you're not there yet, feel free to email us, and we will definitely send you the invite to join. Um, Maybe we can take like a couple minutes just to talk about Progoti and some of our, future events. So I think Mohini's here, I'm here, Shiny's here, and Moy are here. So we're the folks who are trying to put this group together under the Association of Bengalis here in the Bay Area. So again, this community is open to everyone. Doesn't matter where you are. You don't even have to be from the Bay Area. Sometimes we try to put in-person events. So maybe there it might be a little hard, but we also, want to do more events like this so we can connect people all across the community for those who want to join. And so your feedback, on the surveys and all are not just to help us, but they're also to help, us make better future events that are tailored specifically to those who want to join our sessions, right? So the active community, the more feedback you give us, the more tailored sessions and events that you will get. So yeah, I mean, a little bit about Progoti, we're like a networking based community. So that's kind of the goal here. We just want to kind of keep more relaxed networking and opportunities available, and also, um, you know, give people the chance to connect not just with peers, but maybe, we bring in some, distinguished speakers and have some interesting opportunities, maybe even expand into some technical workshops and things like that. So thanks, so much for joining. We have a couple more sessions coming up. We have a leadership session as well as a resume building session. And as I mentioned, we'll also send the survey out. So feel free to suggest any other, ideas that you have, and we'll definitely, work on those with as a team.
Yeah, and also I would like to add here, so our like the next two seminars is one is for she is human resources business partner at Google, and another
Yep.
one is at a leadership role in Deloitte, which is a major consulting firm working globally. So I would definitely recommend you guys to attend the sessions, and feel free to be in touch. We are very friendly people. We love to, this is just as Viva said, we are trying to build a community, trying to, just disseminate information as much possible. So yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. And yeah, this is our website. I think, we will send all these things as well, but, feel free to join our Instagram and our LinkedIn and our Slack community and check our website. We have all our networking, social media in place as well. So feel free to connect with us directly.
No, I mean, Bivash, your presentation has been really awesome. Loved it. And especially I liked your cartoon character. That was super cool.
Yeah, you're in Bay Area, you need to use AI, right? So why not?
So are you going to be Professor Bivash like that only? That's one of last question, ending
Yeah,
questions from
okay, I don't want to be a professor, so but yeah,
Oh,
anywhere.
so you're
Anywhere.
going to, so what is your goal? Like, where do you see yourself?
I don't want to see myself in academia, that's what I know. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm still building, right? I don't know what brings in, and also, yeah,
Okay.
it's in future, so let's see.
Okay. Okay. Good luck, Vivash. And anybody else would like to add anything or, any comments, or we will like, we are right on time. So we'll conclude our session. And I think is in India, it is really late night. So thanks to all of you who, after being so late night, still have joined us today.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.